Good afternoon, beautiful people. Sitting here today with the pretty boy champ, my producer, and my co-host, Seth Donahoe. How's it going?
What's happening? How we doing today?
You know, man, it's a little gray outside. We've got a great snowfall. A lot of counties on level 1 snow emergencies. A lot of schools closed today. That's not affecting the sports in the area, though. And we're very excited to be able to have a great show today. How we doing, pretty boy champ?
Having a wonderful, wonderful morning. It's going good.
Good. Well, look, man, we're all looking forward to hearing a lot about the Super Bowl. And today, I really want to go ahead and start off with the controversy in the referees. How much do you think that played a role? Well, first, let me go ahead and just say, in case you didn't hear, in case you were living in a hole, in case you were living with Patrick Starr in the sea, for some reason, there were a lot of people who were a little upset about the loss by the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, as Tom Brady did go on to win his 7th now after playing in 10 Super Bowls. So how much of an impact do you believe that the referees had on this matchup?
Man, I will be one of the first to say that I was one of those people that was kind of disappointed in the Chiefs. You know, I was kind of rooting for them, wanting them to win. And it all started after Tampa Bay beat Green Bay. I realized that, man, it's not coincidental that Tom Brady goes to Tampa Bay, is in the Super Bowl, which is in Tampa Bay this year. Right there, I noticed something was a little fishy. I'll say that there's at times where it looks like the NFL can be a little rigged, especially in the second quarter, right before the half on that drive that Tampa Bay had. They called a cheap little pass interference that was overthrown from Tom Brady to Mike Evans, where it looks like the defender just barely caught his calf, and I don't think it was enough for a pass interference call. And then down inside the red zone, Tom Brady throws a ball out of the end zone, well over the head of, it might have been Gronk who he was throwing to, and it was clearly throwing the ball away is what it looked like, completely uncatchable, and they still throw a pass, and they still call a pass interference. So that second quarter, that last drive, it just, something seemed up where it was like, man, NFL kind of wants Tom Brady to win his 7th Super Bowl.
Do you really feel that way? Pretty boy, what do you have for me, man? I see you over there.
Hey, I'm the first to just get on a conspiracy banner. I mean, it had that feel of a really, really talented high school team going into a prep school, going on the home field, and it just from the jump, I mean, the first personal foul against Chris Jones, when the offensive line and the defensive guys are shoving each other, when doesn't that happen? Yeah. When is that ever a penalty? That was on a 3rd down and 8. They called a personal foul because the offensive line and the defensive guy are shoving each other. Keeps the drive alive. 3 plays later, Matthew catches an interception. They call a hold on a hitch route. I mean, you can't teach better coverage than that. That's textbook coverage. He drops his hips, you drop his hips. He opens up, you open up. Like, I don't know what you want from a guy in the Super Bowl that are competing. You
could easily say that all of those, like the holding and the pushing and shoving, in the NFL, that happens on every single play.
Well, there's an argument to say that you should just let them go out and play. And you're watching the best versus the best. It is what it is. You sat there and you know that Tom Brady is the greatest of all time, and then you go ahead and call Pat Mahomes the baby goat, whatever it is that you want to say, whatever label it is that you want to put on it. There has to be something said about the fact that you've got a guy going this poison ready. He's got a lot of weapons on his team. Some say that he's had more weapons than he's ever been afforded with in his NFL tenure. And when you look at what Pat Mahomes was down with, were there too many distractions here this past week as the linebackers coach, Andy Reid's son, ends up getting in a car accident just days before after having a few drinks and then injuring a 5-year-old, and the other child that was involved in that car accident also taken to the hospital. And that's very sad, and we're thinking about their families at this time. But thinking about how that is going to actually play in, is that messing with the guy's mentals? And then also having 3 linemen down. A couple guys opt out. One of the linemen from Kansas City this year had opted out early on in the season, and he's working in hospitals. So, I mean, so many things come into effect. People kept saying, oh, well, these guys are going to go ahead and play to their competition, and they're going to do nothing but get better, and they always rise to the occasion. But I was the person who was on the other side, stating that they really have not risen to the occasion all year. This year, they came up and competed with some teams and kind of played to their level of competition, whereas I don't want to say it was the Browns, but there were some other games they played in, and you're like, well, they're not ready yet. They're getting there. This is the Kansas City Chiefs team. They're the Super Bowl champions. There's no way that, that they're worse than they were last year. So is there some level of complacency, and where is it that they're going to go from here?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say complacency, because every player in the NFL knows that when you go up against Tom Brady that you have to be ready. I mean, that's just the way it is. You could see definitely throughout the entire game the loss of their 3 linemen definitely hurt. I mean, I heard the next gen stats that you see on TV in the commercials and everything, that Patrick Mahomes was scrambling behind the line of scrimmage for over 500 yards the entire game. And just because that offensive line did not look good, which made Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable. And, like I said, going back, when you're going against Tom Brady, he's going to make sure that every single person on that team, whether it's the starters or the 5th strings, are going to be ready to play in that game no matter what. So I wouldn't necessarily say complacency, but they definitely had a big challenge. And when it's Tom Brady in the playoffs, including the Super Bowl, that's one of the biggest challenges that you're ever going to face.
Hey, we got a few comments over here. Simon Davis says the field goal where they lined up offsides, that was a good call. And the only cheap penalty was the one on Jones. He says the second guy always gets caught.
And I was about to say, when you were talking about that, I mean, I don't understand that, how the referees always get the second guy. You mean to tell me that you weren't looking in that general direction and never seen the first guy do anything?
Well, the fact of the matter is there wasn't a punch thrown.
No.
That's not a penalty.
Yeah.
When 2 linemen are shoving, that's not a penalty.
Yeah.
There's no punches being thrown. One guy shoves, the other guy shoves. You do that. It's playoff football. It's NFL football. That's what they do. So I just don't know. I mean, I guess he agrees with the pass interference, because when they brought the ref on and they asked him, he said it's not a way that he couldn't see Mike Evans diving for that pass that was overthrown. But for me, I've never seen Mike Evans lay out 20 yards to catch a ball like angels in the outfield. I've never seen it.
Well, the man, he has a basketball physique. So when you look at that, he can put his arms up. He usually is boxing out. Why would Tom Brady put the ball that way? You could argue that Tom Brady was trying to get rid of the football on that play in many ways. And I appreciate Simon actually playing the devil's advocate here and going to bat for the referees, because there are so many things that the Chiefs could have done in order to be able to prevent their demise. You look at the fact that they were 3 of 13 in third down efficiency. These guys, they weren't playing the way that they should have and could have been playing. You have 3 field goals on the board that could have been, Andy Reid. That's Andy Reid's call. If you want to go for it down there because you think your defense is then going to end up, putting more pressure and get a better field position for you, and that's the end game. But as you see the game progress, and Tom Brady is still firing off, and they're still scoring, they're moving the ball, it's what seems easily. You've got to be able to make a decision to be able to do something. There's just so many different things that could have happened. 9 points could have been 21, and that makes a change in the game.
Notch players to play. We expecting the top-notch referees. The best refs is out here at their position. How do you miss the tight end flinching at the end of the line?
And I was really, kind of to what you said, I was kind of disappointed in this year's Super Bowl, because like you guys say, it's the best of the best, 2 best teams in the NFL going at it. And it was just kind of boring. After the second quarter, I was just not into it at all anymore. I knew after those pass interference calls and then they got that touchdown before the half, I was like, this game's over. You know, it's not entertaining to me
And
anymore.
you would like to be able to see, and I always try to shut out the negative energy, and people are there because everyone's looking for the best product that you can find. And with right under 100 million viewers, that's disappointing. When I believe it was the 2015, it's been 5 or 6 years since we've had the most viewers ever in a in the Super Bowl with at 114 million people. So what is it about this? Do people just not like the Chiefs? Do people care less about Tom Brady? Where are the statistics coming from to be able to show us this? Is reputable statistics. But the fact that this year's Super Bowl was not more hyped up after last year, and the fact that you see, maybe they don't like seeing repeat team. But what I do, I want to go ahead and separate a little bit from the refs and be able to give credit where it's due. Because that Tampa Bay defense now, I remember, I don't know if either of you two saw it, but they interviewed Jason Pierre-Paul and prior or leading up to the Super Bowl, and in his interview they had discussed things like how are you preparing for Patrick Mahomes? What are you doing to be able to do that? He said, I don't need to prepare for Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes needs to prepare for me. So the confidence levels that these guys had, and they knew, they smelled blood in the water. You're missing out on 3 linemen. Todd Bowles went out there and was doing insane things, and now what you're looking at is likely him being able to segue into being the head coach with that program, and Bruce Arians stepping back and taking a lesser role. How do you feel about the impact of the defense and what is to come? They have a few guys that could be entering free agency. Why not sign up again? Just tell me a little bit more about your thoughts when it comes to that Tampa Bay defense, because they look dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I will give credit where it's due. That defense kept a very potent, explosive offense in check. You know, Tyreek Hill, the first time that they matched up together in Week 12, I believe, you know, in the first quarter, Tyreek Hill had 100-some yards or whatever, you know, finished with like 260 and 3 touchdowns. So they kept him in check early. You know, they had, for that defense, recognizing what works to stop or slow down that offense, having those 2 high safeties, able to eliminate the big plays. You know, they had prepared well for this game because they knew who they were going to be playing against. And like you said, Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaq Barrett, and Ndamukong Suh, they took advantage of those 3 offensive linemen that were that weak line and was able to get to Patrick Mahomes. And a lot of people are kind of discrediting Mahomes, saying that he didn't play a good game. I mean, the dude only got sacked twice, I believe. Ran for 500 yards
for his entire life. For his entire life, the entire game.
Yes, just behind the line of scrimmage while he was getting pressured, and was still continuing to make throws across his body on the run every which way. And there were at least 4, 5, 6 drop passes.
Yes.
You know, they were on target in the area, and some of them just wasn't able to complete it.
I just want to talk about the just one pass, because it was a 4th down. He scrambled. He literally threw the ball horizontally.
Yes.
Hit Damien Williams right in the face, man.
Are you talking about in the 4th quarter when he was running for? I mean, there was many situations like this.
Hit him right, like Damien Williams. It hit you right in the face, man. I thought Devin White tipped the ball, never touched the ball.
Nope.
Hit Damien Williams right in the face, like, and those are the plays where you say, well, Patrick Mahomes doesn't play receiver. Because if you had a Patrick Mahomes playing receiver, he catches that ball. Yeah, I mean, it's a different.
He couldn't do it all that game.
Right, exactly. There was at least 2 touchdowns where I seen that guys should have caught. DeMarcus Robinson dropped a touchdown yesterday.
Tyreek Hill had one. You never see
first quarter.
Yeah, you never see Tyreek Hill drop it.
Never.
Right through his hands.
And I want to note too, really quickly, that it's not Damien Williams. Damien Williams was the opt-out from this year. I believe Williams is that freshman.
Darryl
Williams, the rookie running back this year.
Well, this is his 3rd year.
Okay, so regardless, you got some of the younger guys going in and playing, and it didn't seem as if they were poised and ready. But I am not disagreeing with you at any facet, because it was unreal to be able to watch something like that. It was like a team crumbling after you knew that they put everything they could put into it, and then were completely decimated going into that contest with them. The last time that the Chiefs matched up with Tampa Bay, did you say Week 12?
Yeah.
Okay, now that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have gone 8 straight games winning, and after that loss, they were able to go back, look at the film, go back, see what mistakes they made, and then you were able to exploit certain parts of their offense that you knew that you could because they didn't have as many of those weapons. They didn't have those same strengths. You have 3 linemen that are now out and gone. They lost one of their linemen to an Achilles injury, during the first round of the playoffs when they played, or, during their first game in the playoffs. So it's absolutely unreal. It's unfathomable that you're able to make it all the way there, and disappointing for the viewers, disappointing for the team, disappointing for the coaches. And you feel as if they weren't able to do what they were supposed to do. But if you take the referees out of it, is Tom Brady still the champion at the end of the day?
I would say, yeah, probably, just because, his stat line was, incredible. He was that's Mahomes. He was 21 of 29, only threw for 201 yards, but a lot of that is credited to, I don't think Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones got enough credit, because Ronald Jones, 61 yards on 12 carries, Leonard Fournette, 89 yards and a touchdown on 16 carries. You're able to run the ball. Like, you have to plan for Tom Brady, obviously. Yeah. And when you do that, the Kansas City rush defense isn't the best in the league, So they were able to take advantage of, hey, we're going to get 4, 5, 6 yards a carry.
Right.
Let's just keep running the ball, continue to protect Brady, and, he'll be able to finish out the game for us.
Right. Well, I was sitting with a group of people and, former college athletes and things of that sort who were like, man, this game's over. And I'm like, man, you can't count out Pat Mahomes in the second quarter, can you? But so many people were. Did people start turning off the television at that point? Was there something better to watch? Were people preparing for Queen Latifah as the equalizer after the game? Out of all the things that you do, the holy mecca that is the greatest sporting event of the year it's underappreciated at the end of the day, because of what you saw. People aren't giving it as much credit as it should have because of what you ended up with. But this is what people had asked for. You had asked to see 2 of the greats go together. You had asked for the 2 best teams, and if it was, and curse it, I would have loved to have even seen the Bills compete, because when you start taking and replacing certain teams and you say, well, if you were to plug them in right here, they could have played better against them. The Browns could have argued, we could have played better against Tom Brady. And it's just disappointing to be able to watch something like that, but that's the way that the cookies crumble at the end of the day. And it's disappointing as it is. But I also want to note a couple of different things. Now, if you weren't going to give the MVP to Tom Brady, who is it going to?
Who you got, pretty boy?
I would have gave it to Devin White. He was just all over the field defensively, playing really good coverage against Travis Kelce, making tackles in the open field against Hilaire and Williams, stuffing the run. He was just like all over the field defensively. I think he had like 13 tackles. Like 4 or 5 pass breakups. Dude was the MVP in the middle of that field, 45.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good choice. Levante David, he was able to take on one of the Chiefs' biggest threats, and whenever he was guarding Travis Kelce in those 10 yards and under situations, he was all over him. I give credit to that. If I had to give it, though, like I said, no individual player, but the Tampa Bay running game. Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones, they were just finding holes. If those holes closed up, I'd seen Fournette bounce outside and turn a -1 yard gain into 7 or 8. He's lowering his shoulder. He's getting those extra yards, fighting for those extra yards. And if I was to give it to one, I'd say it's Tampa Bay's running game.
I would just go ahead and give the whole thing up to Tampa Bay's defense, Tampa Bay's defensive line in particular. Like you did mention, Shaq and Jason Pierre-Paul. There's so many guys to be able to name now without having known some of these guys' names here in the past. So what I am going to go ahead and do at this time, I'm going to go ahead and take us to break right now, pretty boy. Let's go ahead and chop it up. When we get back, we're going to go ahead and talk some more about the Super Bowl, talk about some of the people who have been the NFL awards with Hall of Fame inductees, as well as this year's MVP. And when we return on the Score on Air Network, we've got the Crockpot.
Do you have design ideas for t-shirts but you're not sure where to go? Go to Mojo Sports Gear. That's right, Mojo Sports Gear. At Mojo Sports Gear, you can get custom-made shirts. Whatever design you need, Mojo Sports Gear can provide it. Don't forget to grab a custom-made cap on your way out and rock the best headgear in the game. Give them a call at 614-864-6656. That's 614-864-6656.
In sports, you want to have a player that can get the job done right every time. A real all-star, somebody that's dependable and you can turn to when the game is tough. That player in the audio-video industry is the theater people. From setting up your home's Wi-Fi network and offices, conference rooms, to setting up home theater inside or outside, to setting up the systems to make your home run smarter and safer as well. The theater people can do it all with the quality of professionalism you can expect every single time. That isn't just a great all-around player, that is an all-star. That is why we are the leaders in audiovisual installation in Central Ohio. So call us at 614-604-6327 or check out our website at ttpcolumbus.com to figure out which products will fit you. And don't forget, amplify your personality with the theater.
Welcome back, everyone. You're watching the Crockpot here on the Score on Air Network. Seth Donahoe, Julian Jackson, and Pretty Boy Champ behind the producer desk. So, I mean, at this point, when you think about Super Bowl and you talk about Super Bowl, can the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do it again next year?
Well, like you said, they got some free agents coming up this offseason. If some of them can buy in and continue to, stay on this Brady train, I don't see why they wouldn't. I mean, obviously, I think from what I heard, like the Chiefs are 2-1 favorites to win the Super Bowl next year. So, I mean, as long as Patrick Mahomes is there, you can. It's like Tom Brady. You can almost count on him to be in the playoffs or go to the Super Bowl every year. Yeah. So, to be able to repeat would be very difficult, but I can see them definitely making another playoff push. That's for sure.
Okay. Well, I mean, for me, you're looking at the Browns coming into next year. I know that sounds crazy. You're looking at the Browns coming in. You're looking at a healthier Kansas City team. They need help more on defense than anything else, and I don't want to get too much into detail, but the Bills, every team that was in that AFC contention is now looking at the Kansas City Chiefs and realizing they are no longer invincible, that Pat Mahomes has weaknesses, but and there are many different factors that go into that, but they are a team that can be beat, and you've seen them, stand eye to eye and look at what it was that defeated them. So it's not about the NFC, it's just about making it to the championship. So I also want to go ahead and get away from this and break down into our NFL awards. You've got the Hall of Fame inductees, and this was a great class that you have going in. There are many notables: Peyton Manning, Charles Woodson, Calvin Johnson, Drew Pearson. It's Alan Faneca, Bill Nunn, John Lynch, and Tom Flores. Now, there are some of those names that are a little bit dated for me, with me being a millennial and where I am. But what really sticks out is Calvin Johnson. And how did we wait this long for Calvin Johnson? I don't know, man. I don't know how many years it is that you need, but Calvin Johnson, that's a no-brainer for me.
Oh, yeah.
That's the guy that sticks out for you, Calvin Johnson. Not Charlie Wood. Are you serious? Right? Are we kidding me? Are you kidding me right now?
Well,
You're kidding me right
is
now.
there
right?
really anything to debate because everyone on this list has had phenomenal
True that,
careers?
but I mean, like, let's be real, man.
Look,
We got a
everybody's
Heisman
different,
Trophy
Todd.
winner and a Super Bowl champion, man. Man, Charles Woodson is the top guy on this list, man. Like,
I'll give props to Alan Faneca, the Steelers offensive lineman, who I think played, what was it, like 201 out of 206 career games or something like that. Like, you don't see very many linemen that are that durable for that long period of time. You know, a lot of them miss with injuries, or, you know, some of them may opt out of their career kind of early due to health concerns or whatever it may be. So that's an incredible feat, playing almost 100% of all your career.
Now, excuse me, pretty boy. Now, if there's an issue here, all right, with Calvin Johnson, Megatron, the man who then ended his career early because he was on a cruddy Detroit Lions team, okay? You look at the fact that he went out there, had played through concussions, did everything that he could, and then, as you did note, I will allude to that he never won a division title there in Detroit with Matt Stafford, who has now got a second chance at life with the LA Rams. Okay, excuse me if I'm a little bit biased because I don't like Michigan, but when I think Charles Woodson, I think about him as an on-air talent and a knowledgeable persona. So for me, Charles Woodson didn't stick out to me as, I mean, I know what he did. Yes, he's a Heisman Trophy winner. Yes, he's a Super Bowl champion. But I'm past the point of him taking so long to be in there. I don't know if he had a bid in the past, but I would agree. I don't say that he shouldn't be in there, but Calvin Johnson, with having the opportunity to be in there right now, still, after 5-6 years out of the league, at this point, Calvin Johnson is what sticks out to me. Charles Woodson is great. I'm happy that he is because I like him and who he is today. I didn't even have to hate on him because I was probably too young to remember watching him at some point. So, yeah, I apologize, all right, if I didn't really get to the Charlie Woodson of the world. And obviously, you have some sort of an affinity to this man. Why don't you tell me more about that?
I mean, I just got a thing for really, really great players. At Charles Woodson prime, he was the cream of the crop. Like, you could, there is only so many cover corners that come through the league or that are generational players. Like, and he is the generational lock. Like, you talk about Dion, you talk about Charles Woodson, you talk about a Darrelle Revis. There is a short list of guys where you just say you don't throw at him. You wouldn't dare try him. I don't care if Calvin Johnson is out there. You don't throw it to Calvin if 24 is covering him, and that's just how it rolls.
I mean, I can appreciate that. However, all right, I also love the John Lynch. I love the John. I mean, and though I may not know all of these guys in depth and in detail, John Lynch was, I knew, as the greatest safety that I ever watched as far as hitting goes, because you look at guys like the Honey Badger and stuff like that playing around, you've got your Rovers and stuff like that on the field, you've got your nickel guys, but he went out and would hit you. And like a linebacker, man, there are so many guys who come up and play. But John Lynch, you did not want to be caught in the open field with John Lynch. Knocking heads off constantly, and it's like, oh, man, it's John Lynch, and he just played for Denver, and this and that. And now this guy is a GM and president with the San Francisco 49ers. So he is an incredible talent. I'm very happy to be able to see John Lynch in there, because when I think about safeties like that, you think about guys with coverage, but I'm thinking about how this man would come up and rock the socks off you, and then you don't want to go across the middle anymore. You don't want to run that long post route. And John Lynch unreal. So I'm very happy that he got the bid in there too. I'm also,
you're kind of young, so you saying John Lynch, but there's a guy by the name of Steve Atwater that is the original boogeyman free safety back there. He is the original boogeyman, Steve Atwater.
Okay. Is he in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Very good. I need to take a trip to Canton. I'd say because as soon as all this COVID stuff is over, I feel like it'd be really nice to go and make it up there. I've never been up to Canton before. To be able to get up there and see a lot of those guys. I don't know what that ceremony is going to look like this year, but I know in the past we've watched some of them, and it's an emotional time for a lot of these guys to be able to receive that type of recognition. And I do want to give credit to Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning having won 2 Super Bowls with different teams, with the Denver Broncos and with the Indianapolis Colts. Some may have thought that he never would have had that type of opportunity. Some may have thought he never would win it with Indianapolis. But then you look at his brother as well on the other side and realizing that, he won those 2 championships with the Giants. And I don't know. I mean, when it comes to Manning brothers, I don't think there's any question in who's the better quarterback, to be completely honest with you. I think there's argument over whether whose team was better, because Eli had the better team. He had the better overall team. He had the overall squad. He had Jason Pierre-Paul on one of those defenses. He's had Michael Strahan on one of those. He had David Tyree with the glue to the helmet catch. So, and I don't want to get in that argument. Eli Manning will get his opportunity to be in the Hall of Fame at some point, but Peyton Manning, it is only right that at this point, and you could probably argue that it's taken a little while for him to get here. You don't think so? You don't think Peyton Manning was worthy of Hall of Fame prior to this year?
You have to be retired at least 5 years to be eligible.
Was it 3 or 5?
5 years. Sure. So after 5 years, you're eligible. Yeah. So most of these guys are first ballot Hall of Famers. Okay. They're eligible. So Woodson and Manning first ballot Hall of Famers. They came in the same year, 98.
Okay.
They left the same year, and now they're in the Hall of Fame the same year.
Okay.
Because the year that Woodson won the Heisman, Manning finished second in the Heisman. Yeah. So they literally have been playing each other their whole careers. They ended there at the same time, came in the same time. They played the whole NFL careers together, and now they're Hall of Famers.
Well, that's good. And congratulations to all those guys who go out there, and it's not easy to be able to do that, especially in these times today, to be able to split up. You've got guys who were opting out from the NFL season, and you take on many more risks than a pandemic. When you go out there and play, all the hours that you put in, everything, the workload, the film, the workouts, the off-season stuff, the in-season is absolutely insane. So, looking at that, everyone on this list to me, whether or not I know them very well, is deserving of, their position and being and going to the Hall of Fame. So congratulations to all of the Hall of Fame, inductees or the class for 2021. It's all very exciting. I'll be looking forward to that ceremony coming up here this summer in Canton, and I'd love to be able to make it up there too, fellas. I'd love to be able to take us up there.
Quick question. Did the NFL draft is here in Cleveland, Ohio this year. Is anybody planning on attending?
Trip.
I would try to.
I would like to at least go down for Thursday night for the first round.
Yeah, I like that. That seemed like a good opportunity for us too, with the Score on Air Network. Get on up there and act a fool a little bit. Might be talking about some press passes. I would go crazy in Cleveland, and just to be in the same atmosphere.
Maybe they'll let us broadcast it.
Shoot, man, I don't know. People are gonna be chomping at that bit for that one. That would be an incredible opportunity to be able to get up there. And if you're watching this right now, NFL, I want you to know that Pretty Boy Julian and Seth are gonna be, giving you a call, reaching out to be able to see what kind of pass as we can get, but just to be in Cleveland, period, for that experience, for it being in Ohio. You have Canton in the Hall of Fame, you've got Cleveland, and they're well deserving of this. They had to push it back a year or two. At some point, I thought that they had planned to have it already.
Well, it was in Vegas last year.
Okay.
So they canceled it in Vegas, but it was always scheduled in Cleveland this year, and now next year, 2022, is rescheduled in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And then
that's right, because it was virtual.
Yeah. And then the year after that, it will be in Kansas City.
Shoot. I'm about it. All right, so that's going to be in the plan. So just stay tuned for that in a few months when we start figuring out what it is that we're going to do. We're going to have to holler at Adam for that one. Yeah. Before we go to break, I also want to go ahead and discuss the MVP of this year, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, well deserving as far as his statistics go this year. His team did not finish where they needed to. I'm catching a little flack right now because obviously there are some other MVPs that you could have brought into this discussion. So let me go ahead and give the mic back to our producer, Pretty Boy. What do you got?
Man,
He's always got something.
really, I really do always have something, man. But like, man, there was only 7 guys that have ever ran for 2,000 yards. Like, literally, he was the MVP. Like, he ran for 2. Like, there has been guys that have thrown for 40
Plus
touchdowns.
yeah.
Okay, like that. The guarantee for a quarterback to win MVP is 50 touchdowns. If you throw 50, you win it.
Yeah.
If you're a running back and you run for $2,000, you should win it. Aaron Rodgers should have been, what is that? The most outstanding player.
Sure.
Offensive player of the year.
Yeah.
And Derrick Henry is definitely the MVP. Like, they don't win. Like, what did he do in the playoffs? 22 yards, and they got stomped out. If he doesn't go play well, they don't win the game. So
they don't make it to where they are.
No.
Tennessee is not the team that they are without him, and though they may have struggled in some categories and some statistics, you do have to give credit where it's due. That's someone who's overlooked in that, and I think that they might need to change up how they evaluate these guys moving forward, because if you do something incredible like that, and I don't know, and it's too dated for me to look back at Eric Dickerson and his Hall of Fame season and all the years that he was putting up those crazy numbers. You rarely see feature running backs now. You see tandem running backs, and for Derrick Henry to go out there and have all those carries, if they had more than just him being the feature running back, if they had a two running back system, then you would not find him with the success that he has right now. But the man is an absolute freak, so I don't disagree with you there. I think that what we need to be looking at is changing how we're qualifying individuals to be MVPs, because he is the most valuable player for his squad. You've got other guys who contribute to that, and Aaron Rodgers, if it wasn't, you've got Aaron Jones, you've got Devontae Adams, you have a lot of other weapons to be able to work with, so I don't think that you should place so much clout on a guy who's already run MVP before, and maybe the voting maybe they need to turn back the voting until everything is already finished up. I mean, because Tennessee ended up in the playoffs as well, so there's a lot of different things that you have to look at. So we are coming up on another break here. You're watching the Crockpot on the Score and Air Network. Thank you for watching the Crockpot. You're back live with Julian, Seth, and Pretty Boy Champ here as our producer. We're going to go ahead and stir up this Crockpot a little bit more. Go ahead and get to some of the other necessary ingredients that we have for you today. And it is getting hot in here. Every time you turn around, it seems as if Pretty Boy has something else to say, something else to be able to contribute to us. If it's not, if it's not John Lynch and it's not Calvin Johnson, then it must be Charles Woodson. If it's not Aaron Rodgers, the MVP, then it looks like it's got to be Derrick Henry. But I love being able to give you all of the necessary ingredients. I love to be able to add flavor to this show, and that's what you're looking at, and that's why it's so fun to be able to be around these guys. And so we're very blessed and fortunate to be able to have the opportunity. But now what we're dipping into the Crockpot, and this helping, is going to be a little bit of OSU basketball. And I know Seth's very excited for it, and we've got his show coming up after this with Ball Don't Lie. But right now, the OSU basketball team was unranked at some point during this season, fell out of rankings when they were right around 17, if I do recall. And they have worked their way up, muscled all the way through to now being ranked number 4, right behind Michigan at number 3, which is only a one-loss team. Then you've got Baylor and Gonzaga, who are undefeated currently. Still can't wait to be able to see that Zaga versus Baylor matchup.
Oh my goodness!
But for the Buckeyes, now 16-4 after their victory over Maryland last night, 73-65.
Yep.
Very exciting to be able to watch that. They beat your boy Garza last week, and to be able to propel themselves into this position. And from 7 then to 4, obviously you have other teams fall off. Oftentimes I've seen the Buckeyes in the past make their way up into the top 5 or push their way into the top 10 and then fall off immediately with another team. And thank God Maryland wasn't ranked, because I feel as if they might have been a little tight with that pressure, knowing. But Chris Holtmann being able to handle it with poise. EJ Liddell, he's your player to watch with these guys. He's 19 points per game, seven rebounds a game, and he's 40% from three-point range. But there's much more to be said than just EJ Liddell on this squad.
Yeah.
Seth, what else do we need to be looking for?
Well, I mean, you got an experienced guy, obviously, like E.J. Liddell, but also their guard play with Dwayne Washington. I mean, he kind of went through a little bit of a slump, but he's starting to get his feet back from underneath him. Like you said, it seems like in the past, whenever Ohio State has gotten to that top 10, top 15, 1 or 2 games later, they're right in the top 25 or just outside the top 25. But this year, they started off strong, had a couple, sad losses, if you will, especially the loss to Purdue. Like you can't be losing a game like that, but at least it's not something that could potentially leave them out of a bid for the March Madness. They, like you said, they're sitting at 4 right now. E.J. Liddell, Dwayne Washington, and the likes of Kyle Young. I mean, I've never seen a guy hustle as hard as he does. His motor is running 100%. He doesn't get, all the points, but you best believe that he's underneath that basket, offense and defense, causing problems for the opposing team, getting rebounds, hustling after loose balls, and it's that kind of guy that teams need, because you see that kind of energy and you're like, well, if he's laying it out all on the line, I got to be laying it out all on the line too. And the experience that these guys have gotten together, now their chemistry is starting to come together, and they're playing well. I mean, the rest of their schedule is tough. They got Michigan twice, Iowa, Michigan State, who's been on the downside, but you can never discredit Michigan State. They're always a good basketball team.
This year you can.
Yeah. Well,
I'm confused. Who are we talking about?
Ohio State.
Oh, they got a basketball team?
Yeah, they're.
I had no idea. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
First of all, look, so much disrespect all the time. See, I told you right now. And if you didn't have that, you know what? We're going to take your spices all the way up out the crock pot is what we might have to end up doing.
Right.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and remove whatever that is. He's like a bay leaf or something. Got to take him right on out. He don't stay in the whole time.
It adds a little flavor, but it's nothing important.
You don't want to overpower the crock pot.
Hey, you know what my coach used to tell me, man, when I would have a bonehead play, man, he'd be like, Matt, come over here. Come smell my cologne. So...
sometimes you just need a little something different, but you've got a force to be reckoned with in the Big Ten. And Seth, because you know a little bit more about basketball, is with down teams like Duke, Kentucky, UNC, Michigan State, but also with having 3 Big Ten teams in the top 5, is OSU a true 1 seed in the March Madness tournament?
Well, you can make your case for it. The way that they have been playing this year, and especially at this point in time now, they are finishing games. They are being competitive with the teams that they play against, and you could definitely see them as a 1 or 2. I would put them at 1 over like the Illinois that you had said.
Yeah.
But with a 1 or 2. I feel like if you can stay out of or away from the Gonzaga and Baylor and their part of the bracket, if you're a 2 seed, if you can stay away from them, that'd be awesome. But I can see with this team, as long as they continue to play the way that they have been having, can definitely be an Elite 8 or Final 4 team.
So are you saying that like O State is scared of Gonzaga or Baylor? They don't want no pieces of that pie, huh?
I'm not saying they're scared. I'm just saying Gonzaga and Baylor are playing some of the best basketball that I've ever seen.
Huh? Better get away from them, huh?
Man, look. I'm not going to separate y'all two over here, man. Y'all like oil and water, but I can't complain. And I had thought that it would be a great accomplishment just for the Buckeyes to make it to a Sweet 16. Mm-hmm. And now, as I'm watching them, I'm not a true believer. I'm a Buckeye fan, but I'm not a true believer that they can make it all the way up to the Final Four. This team is night and day from what I saw in 2006, 2007. Mm-hmm. When that team ran into Florida in the end, when they had Greg Oden and when they had Conley and when they had they were insane that year. And then they ran into stupid dude with the curls who played for the Bulls. Joakim Noah. Man, it's just a face I hate and I want to punch it. But it doesn't seem like they're that type of team, and I think you're going to need that type of team in an incredible February to be able to lead you into it, because they can as easily as they got up there, they can fall out. And that's something that you hate to see, but it's a definite possibility moving forward.
Well, and I think one of the key words that you just said is they're playing together as a team. And in college basketball, that's what you need. I mean, that year we had David Lighty, Mike Conley, Greg Oden. We had all these star players that were phenomenal individual players, but there were times during that year where they didn't really play together as a full team. They kind of butted their heads, back and forth every now and then. But Chris Holtmann has got this Ohio State team this year, buying into each other. And that's what you need, is to be able to have that experience, chemistry, and trust in each and every one of your teammates, that if they're going to, like with Kyle Young, if you're going to lay your body out on the line to just get a loose ball, then let's go out there and win this game.
Can I ask you something, though? In evaluating the OSU State basketball team, would you say that they are a supremely talented team, or do they need to play together basketball? Is there an individual where if the team is not playing well, he can just go get you 10 points in a row, 12 points in a row, put the team on his back and carry him? Do they have a player like that?
They do. It's E.J. Liddell. I mean, he's just the stats that he's put up this year has been phenomenal. There was one game, I want to say probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, where they played, I believe it was Illinois, and E.J. Liddell went 0 for 6 in that game, just had an off night. And since then, he's been getting the ball. He's been wanting to shoot the ball. He wants the ball in his hands, and he wants to help lead this team.
On what position does he play?
He's a 4-man, 3 or 4-man.
Does he have a ability to break down the defense with a ball handle and get his own shot?
He can, yeah. He in his past, he's been more of an interior guy. Last year and this year, he's really progressed to having a sustainable mid-game and the three-point shot. I mean, like you said, he's shooting from over 40% from three just this year alone. So he's really taken it on himself to be the star and the face of this basketball team.
And at 19 points per game, I don't think that I feel as if those stats are a little bit whopper jaw. You don't always end up seeing somebody. You would like to be able to see some guy in the 20s hitting closer to 30, something like that, and be consistent with it. Going 0 for 6 against Illinois in the last matchup is not something you want to hear about from your premier player. However, if they do as you say, and Holtmann really does have these guys playing together, and they're a cohesive unit, they can make a run. I'm not yet a believer they need to make it all the way through February. It's a short month. You've got to do what you got to do and be able to make it to a point where other people are actually fearing you, because as you said it, you don't want to run into Gonzaga. You don't want to run into Baylor. You need other teams who are saying, I don't want to run into the Buckeyes. And that's not something I've seen. And Michigan had a 14-day break with their entire athletics program, and I don't think they played another game to this point. They should be playing again this week.
I believe so,
as long as they're able to resume. So you've got to look forward to that matchup as well. You've got to look forward to the rest of the Big Ten schedule before you go ahead and make assumptions such as, and you got to see who else is in their bracket and who else is in their region, because that is going to hold a lot of merit moving forward.
And see, with the Big Ten teams, the Big Ten basketball is the SEC football. They are.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes. Man.
I knew we were going to get something from that.
Man, stop it, man. When's the last time the Big Ten won a national title?
Michigan won a few years ago.
No, they did not win. They played and lost. They came in second. Second is not winning. The last time a Big Ten team won the national championship was Mateen Cleaves and Mo Peets in 2000. The SEC wins the championship almost every year. Bama's playing for the championship almost every year. There's always
So
an
the
SEC.
So Kentucky. Just Kentucky.
Just Kentucky.
Just Kentucky plays for the national championship.
I mean,
Typically.
There's no really
Typically.
Florida's in the mix every now and
well,
then.
only Bama plays for the title, but to say that the Big Ten is like the SEC football, no.
We're going to cut this short. We're going to cut this short right now so we can go ahead and move on. We're running short up on time. Stay tuned for Ball Don't Lie, and you can hear a little bit more about that there after this show.
Look, Todd, I know it's your opinion, but you're wrong. So
I want to go ahead and touch on a little bit of flavor from the NHL as we're looking at the Blue Jackets right now, who over the weekend had ended up taking on the Carolina Hurricane, and a controversial 6-5 loss on Sunday at 3:00 when there was a goal who they had said that they had reached out to Toronto. The mic wasn't on or something ridiculous about that, and they were going to review it and say the goal was not good because of the offsides. There was a lot of, things like that going on. Who knows if the Blue Jackets were actually going to be able to prevail and be able to persevere in that, but they did pick up the win last night, which was very exciting against the Hurricanes. So Patrick Laine was benched, and that was a pure coach's decision, so it's not anything that you really need to worry about as he just came in. But I'm sure we're going to be looking at a few different stories moving forward where they're saying there's controversy with Laine already. Meanwhile, you've got Roslovich, the Ohio native, coming out and putting that puck through the 5-hole late in the game to be able to seal up that win for the Blue Jackets. So with that being all very exciting, you're also looking at them splitting with Dallas last week as they hosted them at home as well. And then, they've got a couple other, I think they're going back to Chicago this week.
Yep.
And as we go ahead and move forward, there's one person who I did want to recognize here in Black History Month. And the Black History Month is going out to a Stephanie Hightower. This is a young African-American female who spent time with the Ohio State Buckeyes from 1976 to 1980. And during that time, she was an Olympian. She was undefeated in the 100-meter hurdles. And she was a part of the boycott going to the Olympics when they were going to be playing in competing in Moscow. The Soviet Union was an issue at that time, but when you think about strong individuals and their impact on the sports world, and not only being a young black female at that time, you're looking at now her making her impact in society. She has been a part of the USA Track and Field as the president from 2008 to 2016. She's also given back to her community over the years and served on multiple boards. She served on the African American Leadership Academy, the Franklin County Community Corrections Board, and the Franklin County Criminal Justice Planning Board. This is someone that I wanted to highlight here this week as we keep rolling into February and Black History Month by recognizing someone who's not only local, not only black, but someone who's made an impact on sports and on everyday life. I encourage you all to be able to, look forward to celebrating Black History Month and being able to represent and bring forth new individuals. It's powerful to be able to think about so many different ones. Last week we had Jesse Owens. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we can bring to the Crockpot next week to add a little bit of flavor. When you think about individuals and not just during Black History Month, but when you think about individuals, period, in the sports world, this is someone who I came up with this week. And I'm looking forward to our next individual. I'd love to be able to have a guest on the show. So if you have anybody who you recommend, go ahead and bring them forward. Now, guys, I do want to go ahead and bring this to the table right now. I'm going to call this the crock or sit. All right. You're going to crock it, throw it in the crock pot. And that means it's a good ingredient. If not, throw it back on the shelves and sit it. Pretty boy.
Yes.
Tom Brady retires after his 7th Super Bowl. Crock or sit?
Man, I hope he get hit by a bus. So, I mean, really, I hope he does retire. You know what I mean? Somebody run him over with one of those steamers, smash his foot or something like that,
This is
man.
so brutal.
Man.
I was
Man,
not
it's so
expecting it to
brutal.
take
You know
it.
what I mean? No, I don't.
You could have just said no.
Yeah, I don't want him in my
you could've
crock
just
pot. I
said
don't want him
yes.
You
nowhere
could have
near
said we were
nothing.
just going to sit the retirement from Tom Brady, but that's cool. No, he wants him to get run over by what sounds like a
Steamroller or
yes,
something. I don't
yes.
know.
Thank you guys
that's
for
pretty
letting
unique.
me express myself.
He's taking out some anger today. I feel like it's Monday, but it's not. It's Tuesday. Seth, Tom Brady retires. Crocker sit.
That's a sit. He's going to play until he can't play anymore, I feel like. Unfortunately, but that's the way it is.
Okay. Bucks. Well, I'm also going to go ahead and sit as well. I know I came up with that one. But, Tom Brady going to go ahead and play a couple more years at least. Going to go for the repeat, which brings me into our next Crocker sit. Buccaneers repeat Super Bowl win next year.
Negative. Buffalo Bills, Super Bowl champions.
Sounds like
boy,
we got a little,
of course.
we got
Yes,
a little
the
homer.
bias.
That's a homer pick. Yes, it is.
Yes. Are they hosting the Super Bowl next year in Buffalo?
Tom Brady might move there.
You know what? I forgot where it's hosting, but whoever the home team is, they get that home cooking. Hear more about it on Prolific Sports this Friday.
Oh, man. All right, look what we got. Seth, Crocker sit, Buckeyes, Buccaneers repeat.
Bucks make it to the playoffs. Might make it to the Super Bowl, but they don't win. That's a sitter.
Crocking it. I am crocking it. I'm throwing it right in the crock pot. Buccaneers repeat next year, and no one was listening to me leading up throughout this whole playoffs right now. I had said that Mahomes was not going to repeat. There were a lot of things I said. People laughed at me. The millennial man laughed at me. You laughed at me on the millennial pod. So, I mean, and I don't want to say quote me right now, but I'll take my money to the bank for that one, and I'm putting it in the Vegas sports book. Buccaneers are going to repeat next year, and I'll take it right now.
Okay.
All right, as we're coming up to a close, I want to go ahead and give you all thanks for coming out and helping us through the crock pot. Come mix it up again with us next week at 1 o'clock on Tuesdays. Stay tuned after this for Ball Don't Lie here on the Score and Air Network. Julian Jackson, Seth Donahoe, and the Pretty Boy Champ. We'll see you next week.